Hey honey buns, and what is up? Welcome to HoneyBunTv, where we sew all things and we sew them very well. Today on HoneyBunTv, we will not only be learning how to make a work outfit, a regular outfit, a dining outfit, or just an outfit in general, but a nice hat and some gloves, because baby, it's cold outside. Now, I hope you're ready. Grab your scissors, your measuring tape, and let's head to the honey pot. Mwah.
HoneyBunTv.
You making me wanna spend this money, gorgeous, all on you, girl.
Okay, honey buns, everything you need is going to be in the description box below, but until then, you're going to need some pins, zipper, scissors, as well as measuring tape, applique that is optional, and a wood burner to accompany that. I used approximately 3 to 4 yards of velvet fabric, and in this section, I am just testing which side is the stretchiest, which is side number 2, option number 2. Now, if you are new here to HoneyBunTv, we typically fold our fabric the hot doggy dog style, not the hamburguesa style, the hot doggy dog style, which is the long way because you get more out of your fabric, I feel. After that, we are just going to measure how long we want our dress to be because we are doing a peplum style, which is also optional. I am cutting my dress 34 inches from my shoulder to the top of my knee. That is my measurement. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut my front and back piece on fold, and I'm going to cut my arms while I'm at it. And take your time, no rush. Now, I am finished cutting my dress. As you can see here, I'm just measuring how long I want my zipper to be, but I'm going to show you guys later another shorter zipper I had found because, child, I don't want my zipper that long. Anyways, we are going to get ready to cut the collar, which is, for me, 20 inches long and 4 inches wide. And this is just dependent, really, and optional on how wide you want your collar to be, if you really even want a collar and or not, really turtleneck, and how lengthy. After that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make the peplum bottom, which I will include the equation to use for this. But if not, honestly, you are going to cut from corner to corner both pieces. And all I did was fold this over like a square. And the measurements that I used are from my waist. So that typically works for around your knee regardless. It's basically a circle skirt. After that, we are going to open it up and we are going to cut the sides, just one side of each. So you are going to cut 2 of these peplums. After that, I went ahead and I measured how wide the circumference of my wrist, child, which was 6 inches it came up to. After that, I went ahead and made my cuffs. So again, this part is optional too, but what I did was, because it measured around 6 inches, I made it 3 inches wide because this is on fold, and 6 inches long, as you can see here, because when I fold it over, this is how it is going to look. Again, these measurements are optional, and this is what I used for me, and this is what worked for me. So if it could work for you too, awesome, great. But if not, do your own measurement, because why? You can. Be confident. After that, this is the zipper that I'm talking about. That zipper was way too long, honey. So we are going to use a shorter zipper. This one is approximately 18 inches, I believe. Now, because I am doing a turtleneck, I need to make sure that my zipper goes all the way up to where my turtleneck is. So I'm just cutting off that excess extra. And typically, sometimes people sew it down. But as you can see here, I'm putting the collar on, and I am marking where the end of my zipper is so I can cut all the way down and make sure that I don't make my zipper shorter than what it's supposed to be. And here is me just cutting. This is the back, of course, unless you want your zipper in the front. No shade, no tea. And that's me cutting it down. Now what we're going to do for the collar point, as you can see here, is we are going to sew the sides down and meet in the middle, leaving a small hole. And we are just going to pull it from basically the inside out, outside in, and move it to the side. Now we are going to get ready and sew. So what that means is I like to start out with my shoulder points. So where your shoulder points are, you are going to match them up right sides facing each other and sew from point to point. I'm going to do both sides and then I'm going to show you what it's going to look like. But this is point to point from the shoulder tips. After that, this is what it should look like, as I said, your shoulders. And we are just going to cut the rest of the strings off. Now, I already went ahead and cut my sleeves. How I like to do my sleeves, you can do this multiple ways, but I typically open the dress up and I pin my sleeves starting with the midpoint, and then I go to the end point. So basically I start from the center and then I go ahead and I go around. So after I do that, I'm just going to go ahead and I am going to sew around where those pins are. And this is how it should come out looking. After that, you can either sew from the midpoint right here to the end, and or you can sew from the end to the midpoint down. So I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like. So as you can see here, I'm gliding my fingers, so that's what I mean from the end point down, and or you can start from the middle point and go either way. I recommend, if you are a beginner, to start from the middle and go all the way down on each side. And take your time, because another thing about velvet, it don't play when it comes to slipping. So you really want to take your time, and if you have sewing clips, you can also put those on them as well, because that's helpful to keep the velvet in place and from slipping. Now we're going to go ahead and we are going to put our collar on, and we are going to start from the midpoint to the edge. And this is beginner friendly. So like I said, if you are a beginner, it's best that you start from the midpoint to the edge when sewing versus starting all the way at one edge and coming all the way down, because it can be kind of difficult and shift your fabric, and you may not match the seams up as well. But don't be discouraged. You can still do it. Just a recommendation. As you can see here, the dress is coming along and the turtleneck, honey, is secured and it's right on it. So therefore, I'm going to go ahead and put that zipper on. And as I'm lining the zipper up, where I pinned it to stop, it is perfectly measured and aligned to where I put the pin to stop, as well as where I measured it for the turtleneck to be. After that, you are going to grab your peplum bottoms, because remember I said to cut only one side and you needed to cut two of them. So one side on each. And we are going to sew right sides facing together, each side. So this should really create a skirt. After you are finished sewing both sides, you are just going to lay your skirt out, and you are going to leave that just like that. Meaning when you take it off the machine, there's no need for you to flip it on the other side. You're going to keep it still right sides facing each other, and you are going to match the seams up with the dress on right sides facing each other again. And then you are going to pin it and proceed to sew all the way around. Now, if you cut the bottom way too big, it's totally okay, because you can literally pleat it and it will look like it is supposed to be that way, because it's a peplum bottom, okay? So as you can see me here doing, I'm pleating it a little bit over, which is just simply folding. After that, we are going to move on to the sleeves. And all I did for the sleeves was simply sew both sides down. I didn't do it like how I did the collar, where it's meeting in the middle. I simply just sewed both sides down, because why? We are going to sew those sides down together again. And this is what I mean by that. So now, as you can see, I have my cuff for my wrist, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to take my armhole and pull it through that cuff. This can be a little bit difficult and slightly annoying in my opinion, because sometimes, and obviously in this sector, the cuff is bigger, but if it's not, it should be kind of more easier to handle. I did go on to make a mistake, which is okay, cool, calm, and collective. Okay, what do we do when we make mistakes? We go back and we fix them. So the mistake that I had made was, because the cuff, well, honestly, the sleeve was a little bit big. Some things did not catch on to the cuff, which is right here. As you can see, it does not look in place. All I gotta do is flip that cuff over and pull it through and sew it down, and we'll be just fine. This portion of the video is slightly optional. What I am doing here is I am making the little bow, and all I'm doing is literally sewing it in a rectangular motion, as I did with the collar. So remember, with the collar, all I did was sew the sides and then meet in the middle, which I left an opening for in the middle. And now all I'm doing here is I am placing it on top of the dress and figuring out how I want to tie it. But before I go ahead and tie it and things of that magnitude, I am going to sew it right on down. I'm going to put my label in, and now I'm going to get ready to put my applique on my dress. So you will need a wood burner. Baby, it gets hot. Okay, so be careful. And you want to do this on some type of cardboard, so it won't intercept through the table or anything that you are using, because like I said, it's a wood burner, and baby, it's going to burn. So after I finish cutting my applique, I'm literally going to take some fabric glue and glue it down, and baby, this is how the look should come out. Isn't she cute? She's giving first lady. See you, honey buns, on HoneyBunTv next week. Mwah.